Hello Year 7 and welcome to the first video of whole class feedback remotely. Of course I'd love to have given this to you in class, but current circumstances mean we can't do that, so I thought it would just be useful to record this for you now to help you when you do your own feedback responses at home. Now of course in your books you will see my own comments in terms of questions on the essay itself, and also an orange task which I will have circled for you. So please make sure that you have a look at those and do just as you do normally with feedback, which is to respond in a different colour pen, ideally green. Just make sure it's not in the colour you've written in and the colour I've marked in, because we need to be able to distinguish which is mine and which is yours. So I also just wanted to do, as we always do, and do some whole class feedback and kind of talk about what you did collectively well as a class, and also some misconceptions that you made as a class too. So first and foremost, I just really wanted to say that actually your use of causation language, so your use of language such as inspired or exacerbated or triggered or provoked, this idea of events leading to other events or events leading to the Peasants' Revolt itself, were really well explained and really well articulated in your work. It seems a lot of you were using some of the phrases that we discussed in class and some of the phrases that were included on the PowerPoint, and it was so great to see them written in your work, in your books, because it's this kind of language which will help make you become even better historians going forward. And I hope that you continue to use these kinds of phrases and words like "this resulted in," "this led to," going forward, because it's a really key skill in history, and just a really good marker of that you're really making a sense of that certain events had perhaps more importance or more of an impact than others in leading to certain things. So with the Peasants' Revolt, a lot of you were able to distinguish between what you thought were more important ideas or more important reasons for the peasants to revolt or not. So just to highlight a few other people's pieces of work as well. Maddie, I loved your sentence about John Bull. Everyone thought his ideas were radical and out of the ordinary. According to John, all peasants should be free and treated equally. You made it really clear why John Bull was considered radical, why people were concerned about what he was saying, and equally why the peasants loved what he was saying. Really clear. Lovely. Ruben, I really liked your discussion of the feudal system and your discussion about how, first of all you got the right king, which is excellent. You got Edward III. And you said that he was so worried that the peasants would get so much money, the feudal system would flip. This idea that actually, if peasants started getting more money, that's a real big problem for the king, because peasants should be at the bottom of the feudal system, nowhere near the top. And so that demonstrated to me that you understand how this shift in how much money people have could have catastrophic effects on the feudal system itself. Juvie, you said the Peasants' Revolt was when the peasants wanted to fight for their right, fighting angrily for their voice to be heard against the higher parts of the feudal system. Again, I just thought that was a really clear description of what the Peasants' Revolt actually is. This idea of a revolt is when you challenge a sort of higher authority or the people in charge. And you made it clear that the peasants were angry because they had no rights, because they weren't being heard, and because when they did have rights, they were often taken away by those in charge, like John of Gaunt, like Edward III. Excellent. Josh, you said the Black Death started the journey of the Peasants' Revolt. If the Black Death didn't happen, the peasants wouldn't have revolted. So you harked all the way back to 1348, with the Black Death being the key reason, the key sort of initiator of this. Lovely. I mean, of course you go on to say why, but I just thought it was really clear in your mind where you were going with this essay and where you were going with your response. So yeah, I just thought it was also a really nice way of putting it. And Michael, you said the poll tax resulted in extreme amounts of stress and anger amongst the peasants. Crucially, you explained why the poll tax was important and why it made the peasants so angry. Okay, so you're not just sort of saying things for the sake of it, you're saying why this particular thing, event, idea, person had the effect it did. and you said the poll tax increased stress and anger amongst the peasants, and of course we know it did, because it was so unfair and actually cost the sort of, by 1381, the amount of peasants' sort of wages in a week. Ridiculous, wasn't it? So really well done. There was so many people worthy of praise. That's just a snapshot of your class, and just a few misconceptions. So a few of you would just use the words there and them to describe people. Please be really specific. Are you talking about the peasants here? Are you talking about the nobles? Are you talking about the king? Don't just say there and them, because it's just not clear enough, and it just maybe gives a sense of that you're not really sure yourself. So please be really careful when you're talking about certain groups that you are specific. A few of you slipped into storytelling mode a little bit, and you started talking to me about what actually happened during the Peasants' Revolt, not why it happened. You sort of told me the series of events, you know, all the way up to Wat Tyler and things, which of course is important to know, but the purpose of the essay was to answer the question, why did the Peasants' Revolt, not what was the Peasants' Revolt. So please be careful that you do not slip into narrative. The causes of the Peasants' Revolt, some of you kind of gave a whole summary about the Peasants' Revolt lasting between 1348 and 1381. No, it only lasted for a few weeks in 1381. It wasn't something that began with the Black Death and ended with the death of Wat Tyler. It was just a few weeks in 1381, but the causes of the Peasants' Revolt arguably began from 1348. Okay, so just a few of you kind of sort of said that the Peasants' Revolt lasted that long. It didn't. The causes did, however, if that's what you wanted to argue. And then, crucially, some of you in your introductions were just not making it really crystal clear what your most important point was. Some of you were, but a lot of you were not outlining to me, I believe X, Y and Z are the main reasons for the Peasants' Revolt. However, the most important reason is X, because I think we still just need to work on our skills in terms of outlining your argument in the introduction, so I know where you're going with it. But overall, Year 7, you did really, really well. Yes, there were a few capital letter problems of Black Death and 100 Years' War, but overall, really, really impressive set of essays. And Lauren, Polaroid moment goes to you. I just really enjoy reading yours. I really enjoyed it. A really fun, really interesting, really informative read, so really well done to you. And yeah, that concludes the feedback from my end, Year 7. Now you need to go away and respond to feedback yourself individually, and if you have any questions, especially when it comes to my handwriting, I know we all have problems there, even I do, please let me know and I will be more than happy to help you. Have a lovely rest of your evening. Bye, Year 7.